let's talk about Toriyama and another complaint that people have had about him in Super, and that's that he has forgotten how to draw age, because that's what a lot of people are saying, because look at Krillin, but look at him. A friend of mine's Vegeta 1089 here on YouTube, he made a good point. He said, he told me, like, what's the difference between the way he looks now and the way he looked back in DBZ? And remember, this is supposedly supposed to be 5 years after they killed Boo, but the way they screwed the way they screwed up the timeline and everything is almost 3 years before the end of DBZ. So that's all. Or just a mess.
The timeline can be so loopy in DBZ. I just have to say. And you think you're in or out, and then you feel like, oh well, this isn't the right time. This is the future. Like, well, this is the future, but not the future. Like, oh, come on.
And Toriyama did a good job back in 1995 redesigning all these characters to look either more mature or older. And he definitely made Krillin. He made him look a lot older. So that means when we Super finally surpasses DBZ and we get to the end of it. Whether it be in the movies or Super ends up making a return, one of those two, man, he's gonna go through a huge growth spurt or something. Like, man, how did he age so quickly? Like, the designs, the way he did that. And one of the things that's been very, most irritating, I can't blame a lot of people, and it irks me as well. Have you been a fan of the way Toriyama has drawn Goten and Trunks, and maybe even Goten and Trunks' designs aren't drawn by Toriyama? Maybe he didn't submit any new designs for them, and it's just the animators or character designers at Toei who had to put Goten and Trunks. But either way, whoever's responsible, it's common knowledge out there now that Dragon Ball Super does indeed take place several years after the defeat of Kid Buu, but several years before Oob and Goku face off at the end of Dragon Ball Z. So even then, there should be some showing of age development, because as it still stands, right now should be I think in the series they should be in they should be early teens, and they still look like they're 7 and 8 years old, and
I can't take that.
They're currently in the timeline. If you look back on the history of Trunks' timeline, when Trunks was 13, he looked like he was 13. Here, Trunks still look like he's 8 years old, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's like they've forgotten, and like, so in 3 years time from where they've screwed up the timeline, all of a sudden by the end of Z they miraculously just grow out of nowhere, and like, come on, like, that is one of those things.
Those infamous plot holes.
Oh my god, the way they draw. So have you noticed that, just the way some of the characters look, like wow, like, you're so close to the end of Z in the timeline now, and everybody looked older, obviously, back now. Of course,
that's a critical thing about anatomy, especially in anime, because when you're working on a show, when you have characters that you're not using any lines in the face or in the body at all, you're using it for shape and to add little detail. Those little things you do add age to a character. Whether you put lines in their eyes or you change their height, they still look like they're still in grade school.
And Toriyama did do that at the end of DBZ back in 1995 when he drew it in the manga. But here, it's like, oh man, it's like, yikes, I can understand people like 17, 18, Goku, Vegeta, not really aging that much, but like here, like, oh man, that's been like one of the frustrating things. Hey everybody, SONGOSHUAKU'S here! Thanks for checking out this clip from me and Matt Dillingham's Dragon Ball Super character design discussion, originally released back on August 26, 2018. For the full version, click the link in the video, and the links to all our social media are in the description below.